And now, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the host of tomorrow's Thespians, Donald, go ahead and make my day, Briggs.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for coming here today. I really appreciate it. I am Donald, go ahead and make my day, Briggs. Denzel Washington. Oh man, I recently saw him in his latest film, The Equalizer. The brother was bad. I'm talking Liam Neeson taking series Matt Damon born series bad. There was this one scene where he goes into the Russian mob's establishment to try to buy the freedom of this hooker played by Chloe Grace Moretz, a talented young actress. And so, but instead of taking him up in his offer, they decided to mock him, make fun of him. So he didn't ready to leave, so he opens and closes the door several times, then all of a sudden he decides to lock the door, and then he turns around. And so they ask him, hey, did you forget something? But he doesn't say anything about to them in order. So what he does is he looks around, he's assessing the situation, and then his spider sense is kicking in order, you know what I'm saying? Then he looks down at his watch and he sets it for 16 seconds, and then he heads straight down to the boss. And one at a time, these guys are coming at him, boom, boom, his arms came left and right, his arms are going. He takes them all out, gets to the very end, and he looks at his watch in about 48 seconds. So it was a little longer than he expected. Well, I was inspired by this scene. Recently, my niece told me that she was being bullied at school, so I decided to go ahead and talk to the students. I went to the students and talked to them, and after I finished my little spiel, I'm getting ready to head out door, and all of a sudden I hear, and they start to mock me and all that. So, I can't take that. So I decided to lock the door, and I turned around, Hey, same thing, what's happening? All of a sudden my spider sense is kicking in and all that. So I go down, take my cell phone out, and I go ahead and I set the time on here for 47 seconds. So I head straight on down to the front of the classroom. One at a time, these kids, they're coming after me, hitting me with everything inside the classroom. There's erasers, pencils, pens, and everything like that. 2.5 hours later, it was finally ended when the principal walked in. And thankfully, I was exhausted, bloodied, and beaten up and everything. I gotta tell you, man, those were the toughest first and second grade girls I ever fought before. So this is tomorrow's Thespians. So this is the show that gives the actors an opportunity to show you what it's like inside of an audition room. But before we get there, let's go ahead and meet the judges who are going to lay a little constructive criticism their way. She's a classically trained performer and a professional actress who has appeared in dozens of stage plays, radio, television, and film. She's the official host of the Women's Independent Film Festival. Let's hear it for Michal, Sinnott, everyone. He's one of the top acting coaches in the world, as well as an accomplished television and stage actor. He just completed shooting an NBC movie titled The Mason Twins. Give it up for Barry Papick, everyone. All right. Thank you so much for coming out today. So we're going to go ahead and get started, but before we bring the first contestant out, let's find out a little something about him, all right?
Hey everybody, we're back on tomorrow's Thespians, and you're sitting in with Linda and Mr. Mitch Holden. Mitch, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, it's so great to have you here all the way from Venice, California.
Thanks.
So what are you doing out there in Venice?
Well, I'm part of a theater company. It's called the Pacific Resident Theater. Help produce a couple of plays out there, work there, study there, and they do great work there. I mean, some of the best work I've ever seen in LA is done in this 99-seat theater in Venice. It's it's pretty amazing. I mean, there's some good theater in Los Angeles. I think we parallel New York in some ways. So,
absolutely.
Right.
I agree with that
totally. Way. It's great, actually.
All right. So we got that plug in with that little, everybody make sure you get on down there.
They'll be happy with that. Marilyn Fox will be very happy with that.
Oh, and another little plug. That was great. So we know you're cut in for this business, Mitch. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in Northern California. I was kind of a big jock growing up, and I sort of got into the acting thing from, my home life was pretty volatile, a lot of abuse going on, so it was kind of a way of expressing myself. And I started acting out characters in class, and I had a couple of teachers in grade school that were very cool and accommodating and allowed me to kind of do my thing, And then as I got older, I got into sports pretty heavy, and I still stayed in, and I did television radio studies in high school and college and all that, but I still played football and baseball and wrestled and all this other stuff. And it was really when I moved from Northern California down to LA, I started studying at Stella Adler, and that's when I really got serious about it and discovered theater. And what that really means and what I guess what an artist is, I guess, if you want to say it that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's kind of part of my trail of how I got into all this. And then I also incorporated theater into helping adults who are abused as kids. So I do this kind of combo of sort of like a group therapy kind of thing. At the same time, they work their craft. Because I found a lot of actors that were very good actors, and even professional actors would give it up because they didn't feel enough self-worth to continue, you know. And they were quite good, and it was just those voices in their head from growing up, people, the way they talked to them, telling them they were nothing, and all those things, horrible things that, you know, adults say to kids that, you know, are abusive. So, you know, I just discovered if we got on stage and worked through that stuff, as well as kind of doing, you know, a little therapy on the side, so you're not actually doing therapy on stage, you're actually, you know, concentrating on your working character. I found that worked really well. So I kind of incorporated that into my acting, and so.
Very creative.
Thanks.
And giving back to the community as well. That's huge. That's really huge. So what have been some of the results with some of the people that you've taken out on stage and gotten them right back into the acting?
Yeah, well, we had one, you know, he's like a young adult, he was like 16 or 17, and he was not really floundering, he was working, but he just kind of found a new love for theater, and he continued to be an actor and became a dancer and went to college and got his degree. We did our first play about 3 or 4 years ago, so I think he's like a sophomore or junior in college and, you know, studying dance, and kind of got him back into it, so that was kind of a cool thing.
Well, you look like an actor. You also look like an instructor, a teacher. You've got that artsy look to yourself. So I would like to know, what else do you do besides acting? What else have you trained for?
Sports were my big deal growing up. You know, I
Okay.
played football and baseball, and I wrestled. I mean, you name it, sport I did it, tennis, racquetball, all that stuff. But also, I love photography. It's kind of like my sort of passion. It's just a
There you
hobby
go.
for me.
I was pulling it out. I saw
Yeah.
that photography coming out in, and you just got that artsy look to you. Well, tell us, what do you dislike about acting? Everybody, we know what people loved. We're going to switch it up a little bit and find out, what do you just kind of not like so much about acting?
Wow, that's a good question. You know, although you have to do it to get roles, the audition process can be rough because it's sort of an unnatural thing. You know, you have to just go up and, you know, get ready, give them what you got. You don't always have the whole text. You don't always have the whole show or, you know, pilot or film or whatever you're working on. Sometimes you do, but if you don't, then you sort of have to bring what you have, you know. And it can be, that can be the hardest and the most challenging part of it, but it can also be satisfying because when you nail it, you know, they hire you. So, you know, it's kind of a mixed bag. But I think that's one of the most difficult parts of it because once you get into the project, you have time to rehearse and study and get ready and find out about the character and what the author had in mind and things like that. So that's probably the toughest, you know.
So tell us, what are your short-term goals for your acting career?
Well, I'd like to do a play on Broadway. That's a short-term goal. That would be fantastic. And working here too would be great to, you know, be at some of the bigger theaters like the Taper and the Amundsen and places like that. Geffen Playhouse, and then of course the Pacific Resident Theater that I was telling you about earlier. They do some wonderful productions. Sometimes, a lot of times, most of the time, better than most of the stuff I've seen in these, you know, huge equity houses.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff over
All
there.
right, well, I'm going to make sure I get over
Well,
there.
I wrote a pilot too, just to
Oh,
throw
you
that in
did?
there. Yeah,
Okay.
television pilot. It's called
Awesome.
Caress. So
Caress.
just finished the first draft about a week ago, and been working on that for a couple, 3 years, and we're about ready to start pitching it. So
All
that's another
right.
short-term goal.
Well, there it is, everybody. Make sure you check out that name, Mr. Mitch Holden, and thanks for joining us right here today on tomorrow's Thespians.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Give it up for Mitch Holden.
Hi, I'm Mitch Holden. I'm going to be doing Mr. Pike from Odessa's Paradise Lost. It's Armistice Day. Someone's just been on the radio, woman, about rallying the troops for the war. It's a hot day in April. Monkey dust! Gibberish! What do we do? What do we do when some old bat out of hell says she's ready to serve up every fine boy to be blown away in some obscene war? What do? Idiots out patrolling the dynamite dumps at night. One struck match, we all blow to hell. Who are we? Who are we? If we forget this war, who are we if we remain silent while they make this next war? Who are we then in our silence? Accomplices. They have taken our sons and mangled them to death. The belly robbers have taken clothes from our backs. We slept in subway toilets here. In Arkansas, we picked fruit. I traveled north and dreamed of a warmer sun. We lived on and hoped. We lived on garbage dumps. 2 of us found canned prunes, ate them, were poisoned for weeks. 1 died. Now I can't die. But we gave up to despair and life took on quiet years. We worked a little. Nights I drank myself insensible. Punched my own mouth. Yes, first American ancestors and me, running away, stealing away to stick the ostrich head in the sand, living on a boat as night watchman, tied to shore neither here nor there. Nights I drank myself insensible, punched my own mouth. Yep, first American ancestors and me. And if we remain silent while they make this war, then we are the guilty ones. For we are the people, and the people is the government. And tear them down for their high places if they dare do this again. All those years, one thing kept me sane. I looked at the telegraph poles. All those wires are going someplace, I told myself. This country is the biggest, best pigsty in the world.
Mitch Holden, come on up. All right, thank you so much, Mitch. Thank you so much, appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get some feedback from the judges here, all right?
Hi,
Michal,
Mitch.
let's go ahead and start us off here, please.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you for picking a classical contemporary piece. It's so nice to see, real good literature being done on this show rather than something that's, I don't know. Do more of this type of work because it gives you so much to work with. So thank you. I'm not. It seems like you had a little bit of a problem with the lines where you were forgetting. Nerves kicked in, huh?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like you just didn't know the piece well enough, or you feel like you, under these circumstances, didn't know the piece well enough?
I think it's a little bit of both. I had switched over from the Scottish play.
Okay.
Not too long ago.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a little bit of both,
Yeah, it's I definitely think that when the first time you bring it in front of an audience, it's a whole other level. In terms of your heart's going to be racing and you're going to be dealing with all the things that you have to know a piece so well if you're going to get up here and perform.
I had worked on it too, but I know what you're
no
saying.
doubt,
Yeah.
and you can tell that you've worked on it. But the idea of
I mean, I'm in front
you
of
need
people. I
to
did it in front of
you need to be able
Embarrassed.
to say it in your sleep, and you need to be able to say it a million ways. And I feel like you're still in process with it. So I'm hesitant to really give you much more criticism or feedback beyond that, because the fact of the matter is you're still learning the lines, and you're learning the lines until you can say them a million. When I work on a piece, I listen to it. I will record myself and I'll record it flat so I can hear the lines and hear them flat, and then I'll listen to it so well that I can literally go for a run and be sweating or whatever and be able to say those lines. So I would just encourage you to next time you get up there in front of someone, just make sure that you've worked out those kinks before, because it's one of those things it's a whole other level when you suddenly are presenting it to other people. You can think you know it, but you don't know it, But thank you for picking this particular piece. It was nice to see some Clifford Odets up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love Odets. And I directed Waiting for Lefty in New York. And, he's one of my favorite playwrights, and I appreciate you working on him. Odette's is character-driven, and that's why it's a great piece to do, but it's also why it's a hard piece to do. It's not about the lines. It's about the character of the man. And I think that's a little bit of what was missing today. I thought, you did some really nice work, but you didn't know what was really underneath this guy. You see, if you really knew what was underneath this guy, and you knew this guy inside out, forget about the lines. Forget about the lines. If you knew this man inside out, then when you got to that point where you had forgotten the lines, it wouldn't have made a difference. You could have improvised. You could have just been this guy. And instead, what I saw was an actor looking for lines instead of an actor being the man, being the guy.
Ironically enough, that's the way I worked on it, but I just,
Yeah.
I just was trying to do it perfect instead of just fucking doing it.
Yeah, and don't worry about doing it perfect. But, the first thing you do is you write a biography. You know this guy inside out, and that's what I would have loved to see. And I would have loved to see. First of all, I think you have a great look. And I think there's a lot of work out there for you, and I'm sure you do work. I have no doubt about that. I think this piece got in your way because the lines got in the way, and because you didn't know the character deep enough, and you have to. I would have liked to see you. I just saw the Scottish play, by the way, in New York. I just saw Branauer do it. It was terrific. But the words here got in the way. Be specific. Know the guy, and then the lines will never fail you.
Also, I wanted to add one other thing. Your relationship wasn't clear who you're talking to. I felt like you were talking to all of us, but I think it would have been a stronger choice if you just were, go back to the play, Right. So, talk to Leo and invest when you're saying those lines. Invest it with your relationship with Leo, because it really starts with the relationship. We can't act in a box. Monologue is only half of it. The other half is who you're talking to and who you care. That person that you're talking to. How do you feel? How does you as the character? How do you feel about that person? Do you love this person? Do you have resentments towards them? What is the nature of your relationship, and that will feed what you're doing and what you're saying and make it much more specific.
And it's a brilliant play. I mean, it's a play that every actor should read. I mean, I always say, actors ask me what they should read. I say, read Clifford Odets, read Chekhov, read Tennessee Williams, read Arthur Miller. Know these plays. Yeah. And I really appreciate the fact that that's the play you chose.
Yes, I completely agree with that.
Well, if I get to come back, I'll...
anything you want to say?
No, I really appreciate that. And my... part of my cussing. I mean, I worked really hard. I've done a lot of theater, you know what I mean? And it just got in my way.
It's tough.
It's a good lesson.
It happens to all of us,
I was trying to do it too perfectly, and I know how to paraphrase. I worked on all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could have worked on it longer. I made the choice kind of semi-suddenly because I switched over from the Scottish play.
But I wouldn't have cared if you stood up there and just talked about this character for an hour. Just improvise your ass off.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mitch Holden, everybody. All right, thank you so much, Mitch. All right, let's go ahead and bring out our next performer. Before we bring him out, let's find out a little something about him, all right?
Hi, everybody. We are back on tomorrow's Thespians, and you're sitting in with Linda and Mr. Dave Iyer. Hi, Dave. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Great to have you here. And so first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I've been acting for about 2.5 years right now. I started acting in New York City, and I got first experience acting in student films and indie films, and then I moved to Denver, Colorado, which is a great place to learn acting and build your resume. So I used to take classes at the Denver Theater Academy, and they really support actors. They offer scholarships, and they really encourage you to go to the next level. And I was there for like a year, so it was a great experience. And after that, I moved to Los Angeles. So I've been acting here for the past 1 year.
Oh, awesome. What a nice little background you've got going. So how'd you get into acting?
That's a long story. Even when I was a kid, I realized that I was a very creative person. I used to write stories, submit poems to school, and do things which always required me to express myself. Mm-hmm. So when I grew up, I actually went to business school and I got a business degree, and I worked in that space for a little while. But then I realized this is not for me. I have to get back to my creative side. And back in India, there's this huge backlot called the Ramoji Film City, which is like the biggest backlot in the world. So I happened to visit that place, and I was so impressed that I was sold. I realized that, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to be an actor, and that's how I got started.
What a nice story. So, I'll bet it's really interesting to see what's happening in India with the acting and Bollywood.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a huge market, and these days I read that Bollywood has actually surpassed Hollywood in revenue, and they're making way more movies. And these days, even Bollywood movies are finding audiences in Western countries, like in Europe and
Wow.
America. So yeah, it's booming.
It's awesome. So tell us, what do you think is the scariest part about doing an audition?
Oh, the scariest part for me, I would say, is getting into character at the very first moment, because I learned how to tackle everything else. It doesn't matter, what the script is, or where I am, or what time of the day. It doesn't matter. I can do that. Still, the scary part is when someone says, "Okay, slate," and then go. You have to get into character at that very moment, and still that takes a little amount of work to get there. So that's scary.
Absolutely. Well, what do you think was the greatest role that you've ever played?
The greatest role I ever played was, well, I played plenty of roles which I really liked, but I did play this one role as a student for a film for New York Film Academy, and I played this guy who's very mature and understanding, and the whole film was about people fighting about religion and race and everything like that. So my character was someone who understands the value of different religions and different values. So I spread this message of peace and non-violence. So I think, yeah, that's one of my favorite roles.
Wonderful. What a great answer. And I know you're not just making that up.
Oh, no.
I know that that's for real. That is so great. Well, I'll tell you, being in India and then being in America, what would you say is like the biggest contrast that you've experienced with acting?
I would say the biggest contrast would be the style. Indian audiences, they a lot of movies tend to be musicals, and there's a lot of over the top drama and stuff like that. It's kind of changing these days. There are more films which tackle social issues and which portray characters in a realistic way. So I would say that's the biggest difference. Hollywood, I think, was more like that, but these days I'm seeing all these superhero movies and everything, so it's kind of becoming like Bollywood, where it's like larger than life and all the CGI. But yeah, I would say that's the biggest difference.
That's wonderful. Well, I tell you, we're so absolutely happy to have you join us right here in the USA on tomorrow's Thespians, and we wish you the best
Thank
of
you.
luck. Thanks for joining us, David.
Thank you.
Dave Iyer, everybody, please welcome Dave Iyer.
Hi, my name is Dave Iyer, and today I'll be performing a monologue from the play Goodbye Charles by Gabrielle Davis. And this particular monologue focuses on the relationship between husband and his wife and his final attempt to win her back. I ate them. That's right. I ate the divorce papers, honey. And I ate them with ketchup. Tasted good. Good. You probably want me to get serious about our divorce, right? But here's the thing. You always call our marriage a joke. So let's use logic here. If A, we never had a serious marriage, B, we cannot have a serious divorce. No, we can't. It just doesn't work that way. The whole thing is a farce that tastes good with ketchup. Wasn't it last week your dad asked you the reason you walked down that aisle with me? And you said for the exercise? You're a funny woman. I'll give you that. But I'm laughing. I'm not crying. I'm laughing because you're about to give up on a guy who's infinitely lovable. And that's not something you see every day. Someone who really loves you for everything that you are and everything about you. What you're asking me to do is sign away my right to that sweet voice of yours, those baby brown eyes, the way your hand feels through my hair at night before bed. And those are things I don't want to lose. In fact, I won't lose them. I won't lose you. I'll woo you. The truth is, honey, I ate the divorce papers because I can't stomach the thought of losing you.
Dave Iyer, everybody. All right. Let's find out what the judges thought of that performance, okay? Michal.
Thank you, Dave. So I think that this is a really good start. You have a lot of a real sense of just like an honest truth about you, and you're not, you're not pushing. You're not. There's a lot of things you're doing right, but I also think that I want to see more desperation. I feel like I think that comedy is rooted in. It's like you're taking things almost too far, and I feel like you're not taking it far enough. And I don't mean overacting. I mean finding like the really desperateness of this guy and really begging her back in this absurd way, So I think you need more of an emotional commitment to the work. Don't lose what you already have, what you've done. Don't throw that out, but just invest it deeper so that it's coming from more of a place of desperation, because you love her. She's your world, and you don't want to lose her, and it needs to have that absolute, the floor is going to fall out from under me if I lose you. And that will make it more funny. That will make it more tragic. That'll make it, it'll bring it to the level of these words. Thank you.
That was right. Absolutely. She's so smart. First of all, Dave, let me say this. When you walk on the stage, you have something that I don't have. People like you. Right away. You have a likability factor. I walk on stage, I have to catch people. People like you. So I think that's fantastic. And a couple things, and I want to take what Michal said, but I want to take it a little further because she's absolutely right. Comedy is truth, but comedy is truth up front. So the truth almost has to be deeper than in drama, or at least equal to, and people forget that. The personalization for your wife here wasn't strong enough. So, you really need, like if I have to do someone that I'm truly deeply in love with, I just do her. But I use a personalization. Do you understand? And so the deeper the personalization is, the stronger the work will be. Never pace, by the way. You got me seasick the first 5 minutes. Pacing, acting is a specific art. We go from one place to another. We never go back and forth and back and forth. Clocks do. We don't. So be careful. I thought that you at least put the woman in one spot, which I really appreciate, because so many times we see around here someone come on and the woman is like flying in the air somewhere. You didn't do that. But personalization is the most important thing in this piece, and your personalization wasn't even close to strong enough. So I really want to see her. I want to know, you have to know who she is. And then I'll know who she is.
Thanks, Dave.
Dave Iyer, everybody. Dave Iyer. All right, our third performer for this evening. Before we bring him out, let's find out a little something about him.
All right, we are back on Tomorrow's Thespians right here, right now, today, and we're sitting in with...
Ron Keck.
Ooh, I like that voice. Now, that's an actor's voice, all right. You probably do voiceovers, Ron Keck.
Yes, I do. A lot of character work. I do. I also play a lot of characters, too. So, yes, I do a lot of voiceover work.
Well, so tell us a little bit about yourself and who were those characters you played?
Okay, well, for a long time now, I have played Beetlejuice, the ghost with most babe.
Love that.
For over 20 years, on and off. I used to do the Beetlejuice show, and now I am still doing it at Universal. I'm actually back doing it because I was in Vegas. I was a wizard. I was the wizard ostentatious, baby. Yeah.
Look at you. What a personality.
Right, baby. Yeah. I used to have my own show on the strip, baby. Yeah, it was great.
You know what? It takes a vibe and a personality just like yours to be able to make it out here. I see that's what you've been up to.
Yeah, and I perform up at Universal Studios. That's where I do Beetlejuice. And, I wait tables still, and that's a thing.
That's a thing.
That's a thing.
That's the true professional right there. I was just in Vegas yesterday, and I saw people waiting tables and singing all at the same time in this burger joint. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Was that at the Bevix?
Well, kind of close, but we're not giving names out because we're on you today.
Right on.
And we want to make sure that we find out everything that we want to know. Okay. So tell us, what's your favorite genre? Comedy.
Horror comedy.
Oh, yeah.
I have to go with horror comedy. I think that's where my heart lies. I've always liked the monster movie. I've always liked the broad spectrum comedy, so I kind of like to combine the two, and that's kind of where my heart lies, in the dark funniness.
So tell us, what is the most outstanding thing you've ever done out there on stage?
On stage? Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm primarily have been a theatrical performer. Mm-hmm. Worked my way through college. Of note, in college, I played a woman in a production of The Maids. There was 2 males. Mm-hmm. The parts were written for men to play, actually, adolescent boys. We were a little bit more than... Anyway, but that's of note. And out here, actually, I did a Brecht piece at Sacred Fools Theater Company. I did a production of Ball. And that was very intense. Poet, comedian, dark murderer.
The whole
you know, yeah,
the
yeah.
Whole
So
gamut. I love it. What was that like to play an opposite role?
How do you know it was opposite?
Oh, yeah, you know, you're going to make it. No doubt about it. You're out there, and you are making it, as a matter of fact.
Well, I'm working at it, baby. I'm working at it. It's a hard road. And I'm still in need of a theatrical agent.
All right. So anybody out there, just in case you didn't get it and you were sleeping under a rock, this is the person you want to see. So, Ron, what was the most outstanding feedback that you've ever gotten?
Well, I am from Illinois, and I did some work in Chicago, and a director who actually cast me in something, and then we never shot it, but he kept bringing me back for some other things. He said that in his mind, and on Broadway.com, I was one of the top 10 undiscovered comedic talents in the United States. So I've used that as fuel.
Well, I would say that that's pretty big fuel. We're quite proud of you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, everybody, make sure you remember Mr. Ron
Keck. Ron Keck. Thank you very much.
Ron Keck, everyone. Put your hands together for Ron Keck.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ron Keck, and I'm doing, it's potentially a web series called Life Lessons with Uncle Teddy by Heather Hopkins. Hey, how's my favorite nephew? How many birthday candles old are you this year, big guy? 6. Ah, that's awesome, little dude. So what are you guys, getting ready for the cake to come out? No, the anticipation. Ah, I dig it. Oh, whoa, so, 6 years old, huh? So, you kids are like into Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and monsters under your bed and stuff like that. That's nice. You know, I've got a little secret for you. Uncle Teddy has got a top secret. There are no monsters under your bed. No. And there are no boogeymen in your closet either. No. No. The real killers hide in your kitchen. The real killer is sugar. I'm serious. I'm serious. It's like a poison. No, for real, it's like poison. See, here's what happens. See, when you eat sugar, your body produces pyruvic acid, which bathes your brain and your nervous system and interferes with the respiration of the cells. In other words, sugar chokes your brain. Isn't that terrifying? I mean, a zombie, they'll eat your brain all at once, but sugar, man, that's like having a bajillion tiny knife-wielding killers killing you slowly from the inside. Oh, and sugar's in everything you guys eat, too. Your candy, your cookies, Pop-Tarts. Who doesn't love a good Pop-Tart? It's like your parents are feeding you a constant stream of poison. It's almost like your parents are trying to kill you. Oh, look, here comes the cake. Yowza, look at all that frosting. Hi, Janet. Sorry I'm late, but yay, I'm just in time to sing Happy Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. And sing. Thank you.
Good job. I feel like some of the hot dog and chips now. Let's go ahead and find out what the judges thought. Lots of cake. Find out what the judges thought.
Wow, you're such a goofball. I love it. Yeah, no, you're very, you've got a real charismatic, goofy greatness to you, you know, that's definitely very marketable. So don't lose that zest. I like it. I think this is a great start to a piece. I feel like you need to. It's a little. I think in moments you're indicating, and in moments it's a little general about who you're speaking to. The 6-year-old, I found your eyes going to other people in the room, not to the 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Do you have a nephew?
Yeah. Who loves me doing like the Joker and stuff.
So
like
maybe
that,
maybe try doing it with try delivering this monologue to him. Because I didn't see him in the room.
I have to tell you that I had a little problem pinpointing in this space.
Yeah, it's hard to pin. The nature of monologues are tough. I've always felt myself, even the nature of monologues, it's unnatural. You're in the audition room, it's unnatural.
And I am taking to more than just him, though, too. There are several kids in the room. So
later, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned that the kids are coming, and then the mother, mom.
No. It's not just to him. It's all the kids were in the room.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe I didn't say, hey, what are you kids waiting for?
No, maybe that wasn't, or maybe that could have been on my part.
So,
not
yeah, there were
listening
other kids in the room, not just the nephew.
Okay. All right. So then that changes it a little bit. But I still think that this piece can be as crazy as it is, but it's still, if you're talking to kids, I felt like you were talking to the idea of talking to kids rather than actually talking to kids.
I can see that. So
I just think you need to make those. Again, it's about investing in the relationship of the person you're talking to. And that is your hardest job when you're doing a monologue, because acting, you have a partner, a real live person that you're acting off of, and you don't really know. And just like in life, I mean, I'm going to tell you something, and I don't know what you're going to say next to me. And so I have to be open, and I have to listen. But you have to listen to that imaginary person that's up there, and you have to really make them real, because you don't have that in front of you like we do in real life, like we do in the movies. And that's why monologues are so difficult. It's why auditioning is difficult, because half the time you're either, you're with a reader that's like, the real killer is sugar, and you're supposed to, act off that and pretend you love this person, and they're not giving you anything, And so it's not natural. This whole process is not it's not the way we are in real life, but you have that much more work to do in order to make it really invested in truth, and for us to believe that you really are talking to those 6-year-olds and to Janet when she walks in. Okay. But I still really enjoyed watching you, and I think that you've got a lot of good stuff going on there. And if you invest in those things, then you'll have a really great piece. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Papick.
Boom. She's right. And it wasn't that you weren't talking to a specific nephew. It was that if you're talking to a group of kids, we never talk to a group. We talk to specific kids. Right. And that's the key, is to choose specific kids to talk to.
And I have to say that's when I engaged you guys. Right. When I finally did that, and I felt more connected to what we were doing.
Which is great. Yeah. Now, if you heard me critique the last guy, Dave, who was in here, the minute he comes out, we all like him. The minute you come out, we all think you're crazy. And so how do we fix that? Exactly. I thought the work that you did was really good. I thought it needed to be a little bit more specific. When I talked, I took my niece and her 7-year-old best friend to see the Matisse exhibit in New York at MoMA. And I put them in front of Matisse, and I would say, okay, now I just want you to stand here, and I want you to feel this. And now they're 30 years old now, and they still come up to me and they go, Barry, do you feel it? And that it was because of the connection lasted that long. And so that connection has to be that specific. And I thought at times it was the trippiest thing I've ever seen in my life, and then at times it got a little scattered. But that being said, I think there's a lot of work for you. I think that what you did today was really interesting. I loved the characters that you brought to us. I saw the characters that you brought to us. I think it just needs to be a little more directed, a little more specific.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Ron Keck, everybody. Ron Keck. I wish Barry had given that advice about only talking to one kid earlier before I went in that school and had to face all those kids, man. It would have been easier on me, so. All right, so folks, before we bring out our final contestant, let's find out a little something about him.
Hi, everybody. We're here with John Kilpatrick. Hi, John. Welcome to Tomorrow's Thespians.
Hi, thank you very much.
Well, happy to have you.
Great. It's good to be here.
Yeah, well, you look like a real thespian. You've got that studious thespian look going on with the beard and the hair, the glasses. That's a real character. And speaking of characters, what was your favorite character that you've ever played?
Oh, my. I probably have to go back to college where I got to play Oscar Madison in The Odd Couple.
Oh, yeah. That
Good
was
part.
great.
Love it. Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
Well, what character did you play that portrayed this face? Because you could just do so much with this look.
Yes, I've done community theater, so Fiddler on the Roof, things like that.
Oh,
I've played,
Fiddler, that was great.
yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of times I play doctors, lawyers,
Oh, yeah.
people in academia.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Well, I'm sure you're getting called for lots of roles then in that case because you got the look.
Always room for more, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, tell us, who's your favorite actor or actress?
Oh, my favorite actor, probably Ian McClellan, who most people know as Gandalf. Mm-hmm. But he's incredible, very versatile, old school, studied at the Vic, of course, and Royal Shakespeare Academy. So
Awesome. And how'd you get into this business anyway?
Well, actually, I'm a retired theater teacher. So I taught drama.
Ah,
Yeah.
now we're getting to the point. That's a theater teacher, all right, everybody.
really? Yeah.
That's the look, the professor look.
Right.
Yeah.
But I never had time to actually go out on the boards myself because I was always teaching. And
Yeah,
I had
absolutely. So
students
now it's
go
your
on.
turn.
Yeah, and students went on, had fun. I run into them on sets once in a while, more back behind the camera actually than on stage. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, see, now we're going to really look for you out there because coming from the instructor side as opposed to the student side is a big deal. So we're expecting a lot from you. Tell us, who would you like to play with in any kind of role out there?
any kind of role that's available.
Yeah, I mean, who's your favorite actor that you would just say, okay, I'd have to be out there on stage with this particular person?
You know, I've had a great honor watching James Earl Jones on Broadway. I would love to do something with him
He's awesome.
sometime.
He's
That would be my
awesome.
ultimate dream, I suppose. Yes.
Absolutely. And how about your favorite genre?
Well, I'm going to be doing a period piece today, actually, a short Shakespearean soliloquy. But I love contemporary work as well. Arthur Miller is wonderful things. I like musicals as well, musical theater.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice. I like that musical theater. I do too every once in a while. Well, I'll tell you, what is the best part of being an actor?
Best part about being an actor is you really get the chance to play with your alter ego. You get to explore new lifestyles that mostly are just fantasies in your head. But when you're on stage, you get to live that life for the short while of the play or the film, and it's an honor that not many people get a chance to really delve into.
What do you remember the most about being on set? Could it have been forgetting a line? Could it have been someone said something to you that was just outstanding? What's your most outstanding time?
My funniest recollection was a live performance of The Man of La Mancha. I was an unconscious prisoner who was being dragged up some stairs.
An unconscious
Yeah,
prisoner
but,
dragged up the stairs.
That's not the weird part. The weird part was the tights I were wearing were a bit long. A guard was standing on my toe, and so as they dragged me up these steps, I ended up mooning about 1,000 people out there.
That is hilarious. Thanks for that story. We appreciate it. I tell you, well, you're going to be going out there and just doing lots of things in front of those judges. So what are your feelings on that right now?
I hope I can entertain above all else, and I'm anxious to hear what they think about my performance because I spent an entire career critiquing other people, and
Awesome.
it's rare that I get a chance to get feedback for myself.
Awesome. Well, we are definitely rooting for you here in the green room and can't wait to see you out there in front of the judges and on stage. And thanks for
very much.
joining us, Mr. Kilpatrick.
Yes.
We appreciate
Okay,
it. Good
please.
luck to you.
My pleasure.
All right, everybody, put your hands together for John Kilpatrick.
Hello, I'm John Kilpatrick. I'll be playing the chorus in the prologue of William Shakespeare's Henry V. Shakespeare uses the chorus to set the stage, but to apologize for the inadequacies of the actors in playing a man who was a national hero for a couple centuries before Shakespeare lived. And he invites the audience to use their imagination to fill in the blank spots. Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars, and at his heels, leashed in like hounds, should famine, sword, and fire crouch for employment. But pardon, gentles all, the flat, unraised spirit that hath dared on this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object. Can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France? Or may we cram within this wooden O the very armored knights that did affright the air at Agincourt? Oh, pardon, since a crooked figure may a little place attest a million. And let us, ciphers to this great account, on your imaginary forces work. Suppose within the girdle of these walls are now confined two mighty monarchies, whose high upreared and abutting fronts the perilous narrow ocean parts asunder. Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts. Into 1,000 parts divide one man, and make imaginary armies. Think, when we speak of horses, that you see them, printing their proud hooves in the receiving earth. For 'tis your thoughts that now must deck our kings, carry them here and there, jumping o'er time, turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass. For the which supply me, chorus to this history, who, prologue-like, your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play.
Good job. All right, John Kilpatrick. Shall we find out what the judges thought of that? All right, Michal.
Thank you, John. I think there's so many wonderful things about this, and it was really a delight to see it done well, because this is a very difficult piece, and I have seen it done not well a lot. So just rest knowing that you really you did a great job with it. I think that at times you indicated a little bit too much. I think you should trust the words and trust your audience. Not too much. There were moments where it really worked, but there were moments where I felt like it was pushing a little bit. Sort of like a paint by numbers need to spell out each word, for the new vernacular, I guess, for lack of a better word. So trust your audience. Trust that, we're going to get it without you having to do that. I think you have a fantastic voice. I think you should, if you don't do radio, you should. And, and you have a great presence and a great groundedness about you. I also think that you could, in terms of you could be taking the thoughts all the way to the end with the breath. And sometimes it was a little bit choppy. But these are notes that are really, we don't even talk about this unless a lot has been accomplished. So overall, I thought you did a fantastic job with it, and I would love to see you on the show again. And I think that I just think you did a nice job. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I did feel the choppiness. I felt the indication. I had no idea what the audience was ultimately going to be for this. So if you have an audience that sees a lot of Shakespeare, of course, that's not really necessary, but you feel compelled to do that. But you're right, that is a
trust them. People, I think it's, it gets dangerous when you start to judge your audience, when you judge who they are, Trust that they're just as smart as you are.
I'm sure they are. That's for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a good lesson. I think the lesson here is that you don't have to teach us, you have to perform to us. And I think you approached this in a way that you said, I have to teach besides, perform. It's interesting. I love Shakespeare, and I've done a couple of Shakespeare plays in New York. And I worked for a little while with Al Pacino on Richard III. And the thing that I loved about Al was, and some people love it and some people don't, but for me, there's incredible layers in Shakespeare that most actors don't approach because they get lost in the words. And I think that you can do both with Shakespeare. I think you can really do the work and find the bottom in Shakespeare so those words are even truer and more beautiful because they're honest and truthful. So today, I thought that presentationally, I think you do Shakespeare wonderfully. And I saw Kevin Kline do Hamlet, and I thought the same thing. But Hamlet, as you know, is probably the most emotional play ever written, and I walked out feeling no emotion whatsoever. I thought Kevin Kline did a beautiful job, but not my kind of job. I saw him, and I said, I never was moved by Hamlet. Then I saw Mel Gibson, who's insane, do Hamlet. And it was fantastic because there wasn't a note that I didn't feel. That, you know, he was truly entrenched in the truth of the character, not just the beauty of the words. And that's the rub. That's the fight. So what I saw here today was some beautiful words, and I want to see that next layer of you being entrenched deeply in the character.
Thank you very much.
Anything you'd like to say, John?
No, I'll take that to heart, too. I've seen that Gibson version, too, the one he does on
Zeffirelli.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, thank you very much, both of you.
John,
Thank you.
so much.
All right.
All right, thank you. All right, John Kilpatrick, everybody. All right. All right, we've come to the end of the show, so I'm going to go ahead and bring all the performers back out again. We're going to get some last final thoughts from the judges. So, performers, come on out here and join me, please. Let's put your hands together for the performers, please. All right. This right on there. Okay, Michal, please start us off.
Oh, gosh, I forgot that we were doing this. So, gosh, you guys were great. I think this was a good show. You know, it was a nice representation of some real talent, and I think that all of you guys have something to offer, and you know, all of you brought a certain amount of charisma and truth, and there was a lot of goodness in everything that you guys did. So just keep on working on the specifics, and and you'll grow. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at you guys. You're all so very different, and there's work out there for all of you. I mean, it's a really interesting group of people who did some really interesting work today. I really enjoyed watching. Again, I think that you know, everything that we should remember here is the things that we talked about: being specific, making choices, acting. There are no great actors. There's only actors who make great choices. So make the choices that are specific, and you'll, it'll take you to the next level. I thought you guys were really good, and I think that you're what an interesting group of actors you are.
All right, we've come to the end of the show once again. Once again, please thank the performers. Appreciate it. Thank you all once again. I want to thank the judges. Thank you all. Barry and Michal. Appreciate it. Audience members, thank you all for joining us today. Appreciate it. The audience inside and the ones outside. Thank the crew for their hard work and everything. And I want to see you guys next time, all right? Take care. This is tomorrow's Thespians.